Hey guys, this is Oracle Daphne. My name is Beth, and I'm back today to record a special singles focused tarot card reading for you guys for YouTube here. And I did just post a live reading that was singles focused, but I'm going to do a pick a card reading for you guys that's singles focused. That way, you've got some timestamps to work with. I just want to say too, I am still offering private readings, so if you want to get a private reading, definitely hit me up. My website is oracledaphne.com. I'd love to read for you. All donations are really appreciated this time. This is how I'm making my income completely. So please send a donation, even if it's small. It's super helpful, and I'm really grateful for it at this time. So I'm going to hold up 3 cards and then go through. And again, this is singles focus. I haven't done a singles focus reading in a really long time. So I wanted to bring this back because, I think a lot of people want to know like what's coming next. And I think it would be, fun to do. So, I'm going to hold up 3 cards and I'm just going to jump right in. So, card number 1, group 1. And this is, again, is love life, okay? Just so you guys know, love life. Group 2, card 2. And card 3, group 3. Okay, so for card 1, group 1, we got the King of Cups. This is Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, but I do also see it as a Taurus male. I actually see the King of Cups typically as a feeling of emotional contentment, having a lot of happiness, feeling like your emotional cup is full, being very happy about something. So I always like to see the King of Cups show up, no matter if it's a person or if it's just this feeling of feeling really good. I am going to lay out a spread, though, to see what else we get. Some of you are very sex-focused. You may want to check out my sex and relationship horoscope that I did, pick a card reading that I did. I want to do another one. I'm not sure if I'm going to get to it today, maybe, if it stays, like, bright outside. It snowed, so everything is, like, super bright. I can't believe it snowed here in April. So you're sex focused, but I don't necessarily feel like you're on track to really meeting too many people. Some of you may be kind of like I'm getting the feeling more like isolated. You might not have too much of a social life going on. You might be kind of carrying a lot of bills and a lot of like financial burdens yourself. I see the 10 of Wands as showing up here as like a single person. This can be a single parent also, or just carrying a lot of burdens like family wise. The outcome is the Miss Lonely Hearts card, which is the 5 of Pentacles. So some of you, again, may not feel like there's really any hope for your love life, or like you're never going to meet anyone. And I don't believe that that is true. I believe that that if we really, are open to meeting someone, then it can manifest. A lot of times it has to do with our energetic space. It has to do with our habits, our daily life. A lot of times I meet people who their habits look like they go to work in the morning, they get off work and they go to the gym, they may go pick up some food for dinner, or they may go to the grocery store for food, and then they come home and they take care of their dog, they take their dog out, and then that's their day. And maybe they hang out with their family on the weekends, or maybe they hang out with their friends on the weekends, but it's not a lot of time where they're out like being social, or they're out meeting people, or they're not necessarily going on any kind of apps, and they're not necessarily putting any posts out there to say, hey, I'm single and I'm looking. They're not necessarily going to like any kind of social events where people that would be interested or looking for a relationship would meet them. So I see that, but I also see like my guide is showing me something that's kind of funny, is that I went through this period of time where my energy was very closed. And I don't know why it was so closed. I think I had been hurt before, and I think I was scared of getting hurt again. And I think I wanted something specific, very specific, and I was like very determined to like have that very specific, you know, thing manifest. And then something very strange happened. I met this person who basically told me that he felt like that I was kind of desperate and that it was a real turnoff. And that basically my energy was like a real turnoff. And he and I kind of worked through like what I would need to do to change and what I would need to do to be more open. And one of those things was, you know, having more sex, number one. Number two, not really being so desperate. Recognizing that not every person that comes into your life is supposed to be your Mr. or Mrs. Right. Essentially no one that comes into your life is supposed to be Mr. or Mrs. Right. I really don't believe that even if we meet somebody who's going to be in our life for the long term, doesn't necessarily mean that they are right for us. It just means that there's something for us to learn from. There's something for us to connect to them on and grow from. And so it's a shift in perspective. I feel like some of you, this is not what you want to hear, but something that you know, you need to hear. I do see like more, we have this Knight of Wands showing up. More male energy that's like coming in to the spread than female energy. So I feel like I'm reading for more females. If you are male and you want to get a private reading, this is where I'd encourage you to do so, because it's hard for me to really see the outcome for you. Those of you who are male, you might just be kind of beating the world off with a stick and kind of just like trying to get a lot of things done and not necessarily having time in your schedule for a girlfriend or time in your schedule for someone that's going to be like a long-term partner. I feel like some of you males have more than one person that maybe you're talking to, or like you're doubled up or tripled up. You know, we've got the Three of Cups here. I also feel like for those of you females, to me, this is what's needed. The Three of Cups is like you going out and being social, is going out for a drink. Now, I talk to a lot of people who are like, well, I don't drink. And they haven't had sex for 10 years and they haven't dated for 10 years. And maybe they've dated a little, but it's like nothing. So it's like their energy as time goes on becomes super closed. It's almost like a hardening of like of a wall or a shell or something like that. It's not like an open flower that says, hi, I'd like to meet you. I'd like to have sex with you. I'd like to go out. It's more of just like this hardness, this coldness. And the thing is we have the Queen of Swords showing up. So for me, it's like, if I'm reading this, I would say that there's this energy of coldness that you need to work on. Become more open, maybe do a little yoga, do some stretching, refurbish your wardrobe, maybe do something with fragrance, spiff up. That's what I want to say. Get spiffed up like you're going out on a date, take yourself out on a date. There's this energy of not necessarily wanting to really put yourself out there, but at the same time being upset when the universe is like sending you kind of crumbs. That's what I want to say. To me, there's like some energy of crumbs. And like to me, like if you're male and you're watching, there's this energy of not really wanting to have a long-term not necessarily wanting to have something longer term with one specific person. I feel like some of you have what would be called like a shuffle. I'll call it the shuffle playlist, where there's multiple people, and you might hit one up one day and you might hit another up another day. You might sleep with them, you might not. It might be like friends with benefits kind of thing, So I want to move on to card number 2, group 2. And this is actually a really great card to get from my Marseille deck, actually, because this is about being single, but having enough money and enough financial stability to like, you know, have a little bit extra. Maybe take yourself out to go shopping and maybe, buy some nice things and like eat decent food and go out to, have some decent meals and like, for some people, this is also like wanting or having stability and having like a family, like, or wanting a family life or wanting a home life. The ideal situation for this person, for this group, is to have like a husband and children and more of like that kind of lifestyle where, it's like a home kind of. It's like what I think of as home, where it's like you go to this person's house and there's this relationship and it feels comforting or comfortable in some way. And some of you males that are watching like want to provide or maybe you are providing for like a family and you're kind of wanting to know what comes next. Some of you females are also maybe doing, financially very well, but you're also wanting to know what comes next. Either male or female, doesn't matter who it is, whatever gender, it feels like there's this element of kind of wanting the traditional aspects of a relationship or having the traditional aspects of a relationship, but then I don't necessarily know why you're watching this. Maybe there's issues, or maybe, you're just kind of like wanting to see what I get. Some of you do suffer from maybe sleeplessness, anxiety, and depression. I'm seeing that. There's some element of giving and receiving gifts. So like, like for some of you, you're maybe giving or receiving gifts within a partnership or people that you're dating, or like giving or receiving gifts is a love language. So maybe this is something that's important to you. I do feel like for someone, this is making your room in your life. Going back to what I said in group 1, there's this carryover for where you're making room in your life for a partner. Now, the funny thing is that it takes an adjustment to really have room in your life for somebody else. Because a lot of times, like, especially if you've been in a relationship that was tough, where maybe, you were arguing a lot, or maybe, things just weren't so smooth all the time, that like making room for somebody else is challenging, because it's like you almost don't necessarily want to give up the single life. You don't necessarily want to like make room in your life for something that might not turn out the way you want it to turn out. See, that's the key, But the beautiful thing about it is that once you kind of get through that wall, you get through that period of time where it's difficult and you've adjusted to somebody else, then you kind of get used to somebody else and you can't live without somebody else. So it's like, you kind of have there's like this extreme, right? There's the extreme, you're single and you don't necessarily want to give up your single life, and you don't necessarily want commitment, and you don't necessarily want to even make a tiny, like an empty drawer in your apartment for somebody else. And then there's this not wanting to be without somebody else, like wanting somebody in your life and having room for somebody in your life, and it feels like you want them to be there, So you might fall somewhere in the scale. I don't know where you're going to fall in the scale, but somewhere in there. Let me see what else. There's an element of, for this group, there is someone that's watching that's very marriage focused. And when I say very marriage focused, I'm saying maybe they're dealing with like an arranged marriage, or they're wanting to get married. And I said this in one of my other videos, and I'll say it again here, that people that are in a healthy relationship never ask me if they're going to get married. because they're in a healthy relationship. They're already on track to getting married. The people that ask me if I see them getting married are typically people that don't necessarily know how to get from point A, which is being single, to point B, which is being married. They may have a difficult time matching up with people, having compatibility with people. They may not necessarily want to be in a relationship, but they want to be married, or they want to have that status, or they want to have that, security. I want to say the word security. It feels like secure for them. It's something that they can check off. Okay, like, yes, they want to be married. Or maybe for some people, like, too, this is religious, backgrounds, very much pushing religion, pushing being married first. Like, I grew up in a family that believed in no sex before marriage and all that stuff. And so to me, it's actually a blockage. I actually feel like I'm not saying wanting to be married is negative, but in this spread, it is. It is negative because you're not necessarily on track to having a partner. I don't see people coming into your life in a romantic way. You will need to absolutely go out into the world and put yourself out there in some way in order for you to have a relationship, in order for you to get from being single to being married. I feel like some of you need to figure out what's most important. Like, I feel like some of you don't know that love is the most important thing. You may have put love on a back burner. You put your career first. It's possible. There's a lot of emotional upset about relationships. A lot of sorrow and sadness about relationships, about maybe how things didn't work out in the past, or maybe about a partnership that isn't working, but for whatever reason you're not able to get out of it. To me, there is a sense of materialism here in this spread. So whoever's in this, you might be in a relationship with someone who's very materialistic focused. An uncle once said that my parents were very material people, and they were very focused on the material, and it was very important to have material things. And my parents, were together for a very long time, but I think again, it's one of those things where there are people that are very material focused, and sometimes it's not bad to be material focused. It's just that sometimes when you're materially focused or overly materially focused, you aren't necessarily focused on a partner. You aren't necessarily focused on a relationship. You're not necessarily focused on dating. You're focused on your material life, paying your bills, paying your rent, mortgage, working. And it's very important for you to make some decisions about how you want to live your life. Do you want to live your life, being so focused on material wealth, or do you want to open yourself up to love? I'm gonna get a sip of my tea here. I am running out of battery, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to finish, but I am going to go into group 3 and try to cover as much as I can. Hopefully this video won't just cut off. If it does, I'm just going to say here, definitely hit me up for a private reading, and I am going to try to record as much as I can continuing going forward, so definitely stay tuned and subscribe to my channel so you see other videos. So group 3 is the Hive Mind card from my galactic deck, and to me this is all about community. This is all about community, and it is about the bees, and it's about electronic communication. So some of you do have maybe a psychic connection or a spiritual connection to someone. Some of you may be psychic or have special abilities. A lot of times people are doing a lot of messaging, so messaging on social media.